Real quick, if I could have everybody's attention. First I just wanted to thank all of you for coming. It means a lot. I definitely want to thank Kelsey Theater. Dillon performed here. Big shows. Donnie had, his company, Gross Media, had a big, Freak Fest here. Chris O's mom was telling me that there was a 90s rapper at the show, and just recently he was asking her about Dillon. He thought Dillon was definitely going places. So, that was pretty cool. I don't know, 5 years ago, they were raising money doing the paper bricks out front. So I put one out there for Chris O, Jesse Lopez, Damon Singer, Bree, Donnie for him and his company. There's one for Damon and Dillon. So this place, today there's a lot of symbolism in everything. And this place, there's memories here. I mean, I killed myself setting up all our Halloween decorations. I mean, it was a cool show. But we've been here a lot. It's a great place. We're really thankful to you guys for having us. When it comes to symbolism, the little memorial cards on the back, there's it's not a poem, it's the first paragraph of a story that Dillon wrote in Mr. Suskin's class. He loved that teacher. But it's eerie when you read it. And he says, the last thing he says is, there's things worse than death. And that's a life that's not lived. Dillon lived, and he lived his life. And he lived his life on his terms. And, I admire that because I always kind of conformed and I always tried to do what's right. There's a few of you that, I'm so proud of you guys. Donnie's doing his life on his terms, we've been together for a long time doing all kinds of movies, and so I'm proud of him. I was very, very, very proud of Dillon. I wanted to thank, of course, our company, Altera, for they've supported a lot of the stuff that we do all the time. Used to support Donnie's movies, paid for all the blow-ups on the pictures. There's going to be a video in a few minutes from some of the guys. It was shot, Miles did it, a great job, but it was kind of when everything was still raw, But it's an insight to Dillon and his work. There's also going to be a video, an interview of Dillon about his music. And even me, when I watched that video, I was in awe because there was so much more to it than I realized. It was everything to him. And of course, we've always been into music, our family. Not as much as the Davises, but we, we did our share. So the other person I want to thank real quick is Darian Doherty. His company is doing this live stream, and he's got, it looks like NBC back there. I mean, it's really cool what he's doing. We agreed one night on a Sunday to go film pro wrestling. Well, I say we, I agreed. And like a lot of stuff I do, halfway down there, I was like, I'm insane. What am I even doing? So we get down there, and it's on Fox, Telemundo, ESPN. It's really cool. I mean, it is, I'm not going to use any profanity, but trust me, it was cool. So every Sunday we'd go down there. We'd always donate money. We had a big Altera banner. Darian is one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet in your life. He's a true gentleman. He's very professional. And he's down here doing this today. And Dillon and I went there a lot. Some of you other guys, like Cookie, you went there, right? I mean, it was pretty cool. It's definitely fun. So I wanted to thank him. When the day's over, I don't want any arm wrestling or fist fights or any of that, but if there's any blow-ups that anybody really likes, like Donnie, if there's some of the rap ones you want to take, the blow-ups of Dillon, music, feel free. Justine, there's definitely some cool ones for you. And then the easels, those wood easels. If anybody wants any of those, if somebody has a class and they want to take them all, take them all. Just to mention that, today we want to celebrate Dillon. I mean, we all mourn him, but, this is about celebrating, him. And it's, I was extremely grateful for all the calls, all the food, all the gift cards, all the things. A lot of people did a lot of stuff. A lot of people were there, and I really appreciate that. There were a few things, and I know this about Dillon, but I have to share this. There are a few things that just made a world of difference for me. And one thing is, Donnie wrote a song called Hope. And you're going to hear it here today. He was going to perform it, but he can't. It's just too much. And I get that, He performed it. Dillon had a birthday party. He died in March. In December, all the kids had a birthday party at a club. And it was cool. It was incredible. And at the time, it felt like we were in a speakeasy, like it was prohibition, because, nobody was allowed to gather. But we had a party, and there was a lot of people, and there was a lot of rappers, and it was amazing. And when Donnie performed Hope, I'm just telling you, it was phenomenal. But what was really cool was Dillon had been working hard for probably, 6 months, 8 months in the studio all the time, recording parts for songs that he was collaborating with other rappers on. And he had all his parts done. And as a parent, when the child dies, I think you kind of, it's easy to have regrets. I don't have regrets. And that's nice. Makes it easier. But every time he would go, to the studio, I'd be like, are you okay? You need any money? I'd give him a lottery ticket. Here's a $100 scratch off the winner, go cash it, or give him money, whatever. My mom did that. So I always did that for him. So at this show, those songs got played. The other rappers had put their parts in after he had died. Dillon never got to hear the finished version. They had never been played live. And there were several songs that were played, Dillon songs. And it was emotional. It was incredible. And Dillon had great friends. Cookie was his best friend. Savion was his best friend. Hagen was his best friend. I mean, there's no doubt that you guys weren't all his best friends. And Donnie, and just about everybody in here was his best friend. And it wasn't a competition. And there was no jealousy. It's just the way it was. Right? That's the way it was. So he had amazing friends. If I should have played the video I took that night, because, one of the things Donnie talked about was they'd been friends since they were teeny, and I can't find it, but there was a video of them one time. They're on the front porch and rapping, and it's funny because they're little kids and they're rapping. But Donnie was saying he introduced them to the community, this wonderful community of rap and music, and he had that too. It was an amazing community. I'm not into rap, per se, but I can tell you when I would go to the shows, it's infectious. You will absolutely love the show. It's great. It's phenomenal. And you hear these old guys, rock and roll, and okay, but you go to a live show and it's cool. It's really amazing. Not to embarrass anybody, but the day Dillon died, Jeffrey left a note in my door. He's a neighbor, he's like a grandson to me, but he was worried about me, and he's been with me almost every day since. He never wanted me to have a day alone. That means a lot. I'll save that one for last. it's hard when two wonderful young men die, and they went to high school together, and they're great friends, and they're just these wonderful people, and they work for your company. It's hard. It was a lot to deal with. Calling people, you know, and dealing, it was hard. And, you know, a few weeks afterwards, I got a card from Justine. And it said, as hard as it is for me, I can't imagine how hard it is for you. That meant the world. And you know, you'd like to think that you could be that person. That takes a lot in the middle of your grief to think about somebody else. I think that's, you know, I had a lot of calls. I mean, a ton. And a lot of times it was late at night, and kids, his friends. And I always tried to make it better. By the end of the phone call, I felt like I did my job. You know, when Alex called me when Clarence Clemens died, and he was so broke up, and somehow, at the end of the call, he was okay. Donnie, when your dog died and you were little and you called me, by the end of I spent a lot of time making it okay for everybody else. But I had one phone call from Casey Cummings, who was Dillon's best friend, just like everybody. And he said, Dart, he adored you. That call probably gets me through my darkest days. But what's really bad, 3 weeks later, we lost Casey. And Casey's mom is here today. But that meant the world to me. And on my good days and my bad days, that gets me through. There's a couple things that happen that are almost kind of bizarre. Both Dillon's phones were badly burned. But his personal phone, the light stayed working for 3 months. The light didn't go off. 3 months. I mean, can you imagine? And every morning and every night, I had it on my headboard. That was just wild. And then Justine called me the other day, and we were trying to get some pictures shifted back and forth, and, you know, I'm not exactly real computer savvy per se. I mean, I'm pretty good. But there was, I've got that Google Drive, right? But I've never used it, you know? So she's like, yeah, I'll put it on Google Drive. And I'm like, okay. So I click on Google Drive. Well, there's pictures in there from Donnie. There's actually Stevie and Xavier. Like, remember how long ago that was? I never saw that. I mean, there's stuff in there. There's videos from the School of Rock. But there was a file from Dillon with a bunch of his performance pictures. I'd never seen it. So, you know, it's almost like, you know, a message from beyond, you know. So, you know, there's some things like that that have been, for me, have been pretty cool, you know. Been a few times with this phone. You know, girls would call 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, crying, and they would be shocked when somebody answered the phone, and they'd be like, I just wanted to hear his voice. So, and thank you, Miles, because I had this list of stuff I wanted to say, and kind of lost it. He had to go there and print it out. You know, there's a lot of his friends, and I hope you understand, we couldn't have this gathering for all this time. Yesterday was 2 years since he passed. But a lot of the relatives had to be here, you know, from out of town. Nobody could travel. we had to wait. You know, we just had to do what we had to do. One of the things I want to share with you about Dillon at that time in his life, you know, if Dillon was having trouble and things were bad and everything was a disaster and he passed away, that would be harder, right? But you know, Dillon, March 25th, April, he was moving into a place with some of his friends. He had bought a bunch of stuff for the place. He was all juiced up and excited. He was doing extremely well at work. You know, he was a leader. Everybody respected him. You know, he had money in the bank. He, you know, his doctor, because he has seizures, the doctor had everything set up. He was going to be able to get his license. My old 2017 Ford F-150 Platinum, he was getting that. We were going to take money and buy him a car. So everything in Dillon's life was perfect. And he had a wonderful girlfriend, too. And, you know, that is one thing I do regret. I didn't really start to get to know her until after he passed away. And she's magical. She's wonderful. I always tried to kind of keep a distance from my son's girlfriends in case they broke up or something, you know. I'm still friends with a lot of the old girlfriends. But, you know, he was on top of his game musically. You know, I mean, everything was good. And I think that's important. I kind of want you to know that. One story I want to share, and in a minute we're going to play some videos, but I kind of want to, there's a wireless mic in case anybody wants to talk. But when we used to go to the grocery store once a week, I would get two $20 scratch-offs. And, you know, it's just what we did. And we always won, usually at least 20 bucks, maybe 50. But anyways, just one day we're shopping, and I'm checking out, and I give him the 40 bucks. I'm like, you go get the scratch-offs, because I'll check out. And you're old enough now. So he went up and got the scratch-offs, and, you know, we're fixing to take off. I scratched mine. It was 50 bucks. So, of course, I'm going to give it to him. But so we're driving, and he's like, Dad, is this one of them, you know, fake tickets that you have? I'm like, Dillon, you bought it, you know. He won $5,000, okay? And, you know, that's a lot of money when you're young, you know. And his first thing was that he was going to give me half. And I said, absolutely not. I've got plenty of money. No, that's your money. I said, and here's the 50, by the way. But, you know, I had kind of hinted that he would probably, I said, first off, you can't go to Publix and cash it. You have to go down to the office. They'll give you a check. You go next door to the bank, and they'll cash it for you. I said, but you really should pay your taxes. If you don't, later on next year, you know, when you file your taxes, you may end up, you know, having to pay the 600 bucks or whatever it is. And you know, part of me wanted to exert that influence, that parental influence, like save half of it or put it in the bank or whatever. When he died, I was so happy that he spent that money and had a good time. If that money would have been in the bank, it would have broke my heart. So we're at Thanksgiving at my sister's house, Darcy. And my brother Daryl, who passed away last year, his best friend's there with his wife. And, you know, we're doing scratch-offs, and I mentioned that Dillon won $5,000. And his wife is like, what'd you do with it? And Dillon kind of looks like a deer in the headlights. He's like, you know. And I was like, well, you know, he spent it on wine, women, and song. And her husband didn't miss a beat. He said, well, at least he didn't waste it, you know. So, you know, there was some cool stuff. When he, you know, when you're young, you don't really have a lot of stuff to go through. There's not a lot of affairs. But his 401k had quite a bit of money, which impressed me. I was proud. You know, he had been saving money. And he left that money to his mom. And Justine was a little like, why did he do that? Like why didn't he leave it to both of us? And I said, he did that because he probably, you know, thinking way down the road if something happened, that he would be I'd probably be okay, but he's more worried about you. And I'm proud of him. I'm proud of that. I'm proud he's saved, and I'm proud that he was thinking of his mom. You know, when COVID hit, we had, you know, you remember it was pretty bad. Everybody was scared, you know. And we had a big meeting at work, and I told everybody, we can probably pay 2 weeks. You know, if we can't work, we'll be able to pay you for 2 weeks, and then you're going to have to do whatever government assistance you can have, whatever. Little did we know that we'd be essential workers, and I had to make a letter, and, you know, and we've been busy ever since. Every month it just keeps more and more and more, and it's backbreaking. But at that meeting, and I forget the exact details, but Dillon was worried of the impact of all that on the benefits for single mothers and different things. And he was like, gosh, I forget how he put it, but he was like, you know, when you go into the store and, you know, the supplies are low, don't take this because those single mothers need it. You know, he thought about stuff like that. You know, he had this ideal vision of a perfect world, and, you know, he had a good heart. You know, most of you are here because you knew Dillon. Sorry. You know, you see that, and it says, like, when you have a child, you almost don't really care about a lot of things, but you want them to be kind. You know, that's a big deal. And Dillon was kind. You know, he just was. I'm so proud of that. I'm proud of Damon, you know. My boys may not be perfect, but they are kind. You know, Dillon, I don't think there was a mean bone in his body, you know. He had my sense of humor, and man, I'd like to share with you some of the jokes and different things that, you know, would make you laugh, but they're not PG-13. But he had my sense of humor, you know, which was kind of a cool thing, and it really, you know, that's one of the things I miss the most, you know. I mean, we could be in the kitchen in the morning getting coffee, and, you know, that little stuff back and forth where you just spit the coffee out because it's so damn funny. You know, and one of the things, and the slideshow will be starting back up in a minute, but and even the pictures out front, you'll see all of our family pictures. And a lot of you guys, you knew us as a family when he was growing up. All those pictures, Dillon just glowed. And he always had his arms open like, these are my people. This is my family. You know, that mattered to Dillon. You know, and it doesn't always to everybody. And I think when I look at those pictures, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, we were a family and we're all there and we all love each other. But Dillon was different, you know. You know, my sons were lucky. They probably had the best mother in the world. I mean, some of you guys that knew us back then, I mean, it was always karate and dance and summer camps. And I mean, you know, it was always a ton of work. She took such good care of them. And you know, it's when you see some of the pictures then, like when they're doing the races and they're an adult and all that, and you know, it's wonderful because I think you can see the love. You know, you can see that. And life's hard. You know, we all go through periods where we hate our parents, you know. I mean, every kid goes through a period. I see you shaking your head no. Come on, James. But it's going to happen, you know, because at some point, you know, you're going to want to go out with your girlfriend and mom's going to say no, and you're not going to be happy. But, so everybody goes through that. You know, I think, you know, with dads, it's a little bit easier. You know, as a dad, I think one of the hardest things for me was, you know, like the dance school. We would always do the family dance and the dad's dance, and I'm not a dancer. but I am a dad. You know, one of the when he was a little kid, and he, you know, the big snake when we had the petting, you know, zoo. I hate snakes, you know, but yet I got that damn thing wrapped around my neck because, you know, because I'm a good dad, you know. So, and you know, some of you younger guys, like Trevor, you know, I mean, you got families now, and I can see when there's a good dad, you know, and it's cool because it matters. So real quick, I'm just going to take a break. We're going to play the video from his work. And again, you know, some of the people were still probably a little bit emotional. You know, Miles put that together, and we did cut it back a little bit because, you know, for timing, it's about 14 minutes. But for a lot of you guys that didn't know that side of Dillon, it's kind of cool. You know, you'll see the respect that he had at work. So Darian, if you're ready, we can let that roll.
So I first met Dillon when I moved here, and he was just a kid, and then here later in life he came to work with us here as a driller.
With Dillon, I got to work with a little bit more and got to know him for a couple of years. And
they always would be smiling and laughing and joking, and then that's something they'll always like take with you, because it's just like, I don't know, like there's so much stuff that could be going on. But like Boaz was just always laughing, always making somebody smile.
He always treated me with great deference and respect. Played golf with him. I was always impressed by his positive attitude and how well he got along with other people.
You know, when Dillon texted me with he didn't text me with a problem. He texted me telling me the problem and what the solution was. And that's very hard and uncommon to get out of someone that's 21 years old or 22, you know. Mm-hmm. But I will definitely miss the daily interaction with him on the job site, because I got to see him out there every day, you know. So I'll definitely miss the maturation of him becoming a kid to a man. So he was definitely progressing in this field of work.
He was extremely creative. The things that he would just be able to come up with.
He used to have these names for me because my rap name is Fam Dooms, so he used to call me all types of dudes. Like we were in Riverland again, and it was during when the cows were still there. So we were driving past one of the cows. We stopped and we started playing Old Town Road as a joke. And we, like one of the cows comes up to the truck, and Dillon's like, "Oh, it's Farm Dooms." And then we were at a party at his friend's Donnie's house, and this girl had one of those like Asian fans, and I started playing with it, and he's like, "Oh, look, it's Fan Dooms."
Between the music, his own little shirt line or fashion line that he was coming out with, just everything. But one of the best qualities I found in Dillon, which I don't know if many people would recognize, but what I saw was his perseverance.
And in a working manner, I always found him to be very organized, knowledgeable, always had good questions. I had answers. I had questions, he had good answers. So it was a real pleasure to work with him.
I never saw them get mad, or even when they got frustrated, you know, they just, you know, took a step and then deep breath and then got back to it.
He worked. He constantly work at something. I don't think there was ever a moment I heard he wasn't not doing something.
It was, he was following in his father's footsteps, just doing a great job. A lot of that has come from the guidance that his father gave. I'm sad that Dillon's not here with us anymore, because I think in the long term he could be a big contributor to the company's success or any other venture he chose to follow on.
Him always being there, helping everybody out he could. Whatever you needed, whether it was a hand doing something or, you were hungry, he was always there to help anybody out if they needed anything, He had a big heart.
Whether he was work or his music or this little fashion line that he had going, he was constantly moving. He was constantly moving. And that is one thing I will always remember about him.
Knowing him for so long, I got to see him grow. I saw his maturation. His confidence and his ability to do his job, it increased by multiplied on a daily basis.
We used to have a lot of jokes. We used to make a lot of different rap songs about work, which was pretty fun. I remember one time we were actually out here, we were coming back from doing I think it was 4 whole tripods. And then the next 2 days we had more tripods than we did. Dillon's like, bro, who keeps putting all these tripods together back to back like this? And Trevor's like, your dad. And he's like, well, looks like we're gonna have a change in management soon. I don't know. I miss both of them. They were really
Easy. They were easy guys to get along with. They were always, joking or just always had a smile on their face, and it was like contagious.
I'll always remember Dillon and Patrick by the way that they were both real loving people, real friendly. They were both kids that went out of their way to teach someone and make sure that they felt like they were in place.
15 years ago or so, Dillon was 7 or 8 years old, and Dart had given me a box of their old toys. They grew out of, I think it was like Thomas Choo Choo Train or something. And when we brought him to the office, Dillon happened to be with him for some reason. And the box of toys were in the back of my truck. And I was getting ready to leave. And Dillon jumped in the back of my truck, sat on the toolbox and opened the box of toys up. And I don't know, within 2 or 3 minutes, he had a whole freaking train track set up on my toolbox up there playing, and when he was focused or being mischievous when he was a kid, he would always stick his tongue out, and just focus on what he was doing. And that's what he was doing. And I was trying to get him down because I was, it was getting late and I was trying to go home. Well, finally, after he was done playing, he just jumps out of the back of my truck and runs back into the office like nothing happened. And that was, one of my good memories of Dillon as a kid, per se.
I didn't get to know him for very long, but the short time that I did get to know him, there were always people that were always smiling and laughing and, made me feel welcome. I remember that Dillon taught me how to drill, he taught me how to do some tests in the lab as well, and he was always very patient with me.
Have the opportunity to work with Dillon and Patrick all that much, but every day that I did was really fun, really great days. We had really great times. I got to know just how great both of them were.
So I've known Patrick in the few months that he has been here at Alterra, and every time I've talked to him or he's approached me, he's always had a cheerful attitude. And from what I hear back from other people, he's always treated them the same way.
So I guess I wanted to tell the story about the first time I worked with Patrick, and we were doing a preliminary, which is basically like an overgrown lot that we go in and we do test holes. And it was super overgrown. I remember we pulled up and I was like, ready to go? Started unloading the machetes and stuff like that. He's like, wait a minute. He's like, we're going in there? I was like, yeah, we're going in there. He's like, oh man, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, come on, it'll be fine. So we start trekking in there, and it's like super overgrown. So we get up to this place. It's like, how are we gonna get in there? So I look at him and I'm like, watch. Got on the ground and I crawled under all the bushes and stuff like that. He was like, he said to me, he said, I gotta do that too. I'm like, yeah, come on, bro, you'll be fine. We went through that, and then there was, that's where that picture came from, him crossing the creek on the logs, was from that prelim that day. And just like going through the woods, and every time a stick would touch his neck, he would scream, and we were all laughing about that. And getting tore up by mosquitoes, and by the end we got out, we were all hot and sweaty and tired. And, you know, I had a blast working with him that day, and I think that was one of my favorite times with him.
I still got to work with him, and from what I knew about him, Patrick was a very energetic and young man. And what amazed me the most was his sense of wonder and his sense of amazement.
I know he was a friend of Dillon, and they all both work well together. And it's always good to have a team that can work well together like that.
Oh yeah, the first time I actually started learning the head driller role, he was actually my assistant. And then me and him were in Riverland, and we were working, I think it was like in the corner of Parcel C. We were just doing SBTs because Dillon and Trevor were doing the augers and whatnot. So it was pretty cool, you know. He actually taught me a lot of stuff about how to swing the hammer back. I use the 5-foot rig, but he usually uses the mud bug. But he taught me some stuff about the rig that I use, and I was pretty impressed by that. You know?
I didn't get to work with Patrick one-on-one, hands-on, but what I did see in the field, and whenever I spoke to the guys out there, you could tell that he was very eager to learn and motivated to do a good job.
Every time we would work together, what I would perceive as just random normal work, he would actually kind of take interest and almost kind of think it's a little cool. You know, I don't know if it's just because he was young and I'm kind of old and experienced, but I'll just never forget a lot of his sense of wonder. That is what I remember the most about him.
Just how happy he always was, no matter what we were doing or how hard we were working or how tired we were. He just always had a huge smile on his face and was just ready to go to the next thing, you know. And that's something I always admired about him, and something I'll really miss about him for sure.
I remember one time we were drilling with Patrick. Patrick, where you from? He was like, I was born here. He's like, my parents are Mexican. I was like, there's no way that your name is Patrick and you're white. I mean, and you're Mexican. And I was like, what's your real name? He's like, my real name is Patricio. And so ever since then, I remember we'd come into the office in the mornings, and I see him in the afternoons, and I always get lots of, hey, Patricio, and he'd always smile. So that's always a memory that I always keep close to me about them. And sure do miss them.
It was really easy to work with them, and they were great guys. And you know, it's hard to find people that, no matter what, they're always smiling.
Always charismatic, smiling. You know, everything was all good with Patrick. Hey, what's up, Patrick? It's all good, man. This is always all the time. It's all good, man. You know. So I miss them both very much.
Patrick, I think, had a lot of opportunity to handle himself and done some great things here. Sad that he's not with us any longer. And the loss of both Dillon and Patrick brought a lot of disappointment and heartache to people. And I can only hope and pray that we will get through this together, and somehow that's good will come of what they have contributed here to Altera and to the other aspects of their life. I know they both had friends who thought the world of them, and it's just a sad, sad thing.
You know, we all felt it pretty hard here, and you know, it really feels like we lost 10 people working here, not just 2, by how big of a presence these boys had.
I miss both of them. They were really like good people who just, I don't know. They're gonna be missed for sure though.
I know they're in a better place out there, smiling down on all of us. You know, I'm just glad I got a chance to know both of them. You know, and here at Altera and working with them guys was a great pleasure.
Wow, great job, Miles. That's amazing. Just real quick, I want to fill in a couple things, and we're going to watch his music interview. And I was going to play some of the videos when he was little, but we'd be on road trips, going to Maine, going to New York, whatever, and he was always in the back seat writing raps. And, I didn't know what a cipher was, and I didn't know, all the bars that they're, whatever it was, he's always doing it. Him and Donnie, when they were little, it was cute and funny, but and one of the things, Dillon had 2 tattoos on his inside of his arms, and one said, "Love over everything." See, there's love and a line and everything. So to him, love over everything. And the other one said, death over dishonor. So he might have been this crazy wild rapper guy, but in the mornings when he had a shower, he would be listening to Beethoven, disco, all kinds of weird music. I used to just sit there, have my coffee, and just crack up. When he was little, we would always sing at the top of our lungs driving around, and like one of the songs that we loved was when MCR came out with the Black Parade, When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city. And Dillon, would be, when I was a young boy, my father, And so, like we never sing that song or listen to it without, it's father, And, but the other one that was so funny was Rob Zombie. And there's a song called Jugular. And, it's like, dig through the ditches and burn through the witches and slam in the back of my jugular. So, one day me and Damon and Dillon were just driving along and singing at the top of our lungs, and all of a sudden I'm like, what? Like, what? And so I turn it down, and I'm like, Dillon, what are you singing? And he's like, the song. And I'm like, well, no, this part. He's like, yeah, dig through the ditches and burn through the witches and slam in the back of my jelly roll. And so I'm like, jelly roll? Jelly? Like, how do you get jelly roll out of that? But we've never sang that song or listened to that song without jelly roll. So, Chris O couldn't be here. His mom's here. I remember when Donnie was little, he kind of idolized Chris. Chris is amazing. He went to Columbia Film School in Hollywood, California. His first film assignment, I flew out there to help them make it. Chris is just amazing. And Katie, are you still here today? Back there? Okay. One night, and I'm just going to repeat the way it was told to me, but they were all sitting on the back patio, very late, and Dillon and Chris and Katie are all having this conversation. And what's weird is I ended up making movies. Like, I was in a lot of movies with Chris, some movies with Katie. I remember one movie, 10 o'clock at night, we get this call. And let's make the movie that we've been talking about. So we all meet at his dad's, empty warehouse or office that they're going to move into. And we're filmed all night till 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, the kid that they call up that's going to play the other main role adjacent to me used to work at the Rapids. So about 4 o'clock in the morning, turns out he knows John Moore, you know. I was like, no way, you know. Like, yeah, you know, I'm a real good friend. And I was like, holy crap, you got to tell him that you're in a movie with Dart. You know, Katie was amazing, everything she did, but there was one part in that movie, and she gets so emotional because I'm the pastor that's using her brother as a drug mule, and, you know, and man, it was incredible, you know. But later on that night, there was a part where, and I was just so into it, and I forget the kid's name, but, and, you know, it's like you're not even, you know, when I got done, all of a sudden, I just hear this clapping and screaming, and I'm, you know, I was really into the role at the time, too. But I knew Chris and Katie. I don't know how they ended up meeting Dillon, but they all ended up being super, super good friends. One night, they're on the patio, and, you know, they may have been doing a few things, who knows, having a few drinks, but Chris, in his typical fashion, said, new research says that when you die, your brain keeps working for like whatever it was, 5 minutes, 15 minutes or something. And apparently they were all kind of pondering it. And without missing a beat, Dillon said, I know what I'd do. I'd write the most killer lyric. You know? And, you know, that's really amazing, you know? And it kind of reminds me of that one song, you know, where, you know, the secret chord that David wrote for the Lord, you know? And I can't help but wonder, did Dillon do that? Did Dillon write a secret lyric between him and God? You know, the baffled kid, not knowing what's going on, but making sure he gets that one last rap in there, you know? But he loved music. You know, he ended up going forward with it, doing some cool stuff with it. Right now we're going to play an interview he had. And, you know, even for me, I was very involved with both my sons. You know, I kept my distance, you know, but it definitely very involved. When Damon's band played Warped Tour, I was so proud. You know, I had tears in my eyes. I mean, it was amazing. You know, Dillon's had shows where Dillon had a show here, and I was backstage, and he comes walking out, and I mean, he just looks so bad, okay? And he's got a bottle of Hennessy, and he's got this swag. I'm like, wait, let me take a picture. When I get the phone out and I go to take the picture, he put the bottle of Hennessy down. Ruined the whole thing, you know? I mean, it wasn't even the same, you know? But his music meant the world to him. So we're going to play this interview, and hopefully it'll come up all right. We kind of had to patch it in through Donnie's stuff. And Donnie, you did the interview, right? So it just gives you a little insight to him and his music. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, music means the world to me. Like, there's been times wanting to hear a certain album by somebody, or like wanting to release certain music is just like helped me be enthusiastic about a time in my life where just there's not much to be happy about. Like, but a lot of times music has helped me like out of just funks and like terrible mindset type stuff. And so like music is very healing to me, and I know it's healing to the world if you take it like that. It means the people that it helps, it does a lot. It's a really hard question because there's so many different aspects of the music that I like. I mean, writing it I feel is very healing for me personally, but releasing it, you never know the impact it has on other people. Even just today, my friend's niece was just hit by a bus and died, and I was reaching out to him, and later in the day he told me that some of my songs were helping him like get through his day and stuff, and like I damn near wanted to cry about like the fact that I can help one of my closest friends like get through something like that. And I told him to speak his pain on his music, because he makes music too. And if he talks about that situation, even though it might, like, you never know the impact that will have on somebody else. So sometimes sharing it can be really rewarding, and that feels good, like the response you get. But I feel writing it and that part of it is more healing towards me. So I like that for that. But then also I like performing because it gives a platform, or like throwing shows and all that stuff because it gives a platform for other artists. But I'd say writing is the most healing for me personally. So that's probably the part I like the best, is writing it. It's like when I make something I really like, it feels good. But also just getting like good energy back from putting your music out and like having that shared personal connection with local artists is very, it's probably one of the best parts.
So, you know, again, I think you can see.
Faded, jaded.
I think you can see that how much that all meant to him. We're kind of running out of time a little bit. We'll do that cake in a second. We're going to do one last thing here. I wanted to say and do a lot more. We'll probably walk around in a second with a microphone. Literally, one of the most amazing things was the song that Donnie wrote, the lyrics. And, you know, I wish we did a lyric video so you could kind of see that. And you know, it's, and he talks about the golden boy and, you know, Dillon. And there's, you know, one part, and I don't know really what it means. I haven't even talked to Donnie about that. But, you know, there's one in there that says, don't let your children let your story die. And I almost felt like that's a warning. We got to keep going. So he was going to perform it, but he got up this, and it's hard, you know. I mean, it's, you know, it's hard. You know, a lot of his friends, a lot of musical people, you know, just didn't have it to get up here. But we are going to play the song. Did we give that to Darian? Hope? Shoot. Do you want to go back there real quick and can we bring that up and play that? It's just audio. Is that all right? So I'm going to walk around with this wireless. Does anybody want to say anything, share anything? Okay, cool. You can come up here. Yeah, absolutely. And just don't change my microphone. Okay? And like I say, this is Dillon's best friend.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. Oh, sorry. Hey, my name is Hagen Schneider. For those of you who don't know, I went to school. I met Dillon at G-Star freshman year in Miss Hudson's math class, and I met Patrick the same year. We all had Hope class together, which was like gym, PE, and I remember I was a lot smaller than I am now. I saw Dillon and Patrick, and I was intimidated by them. And you know, Dillon went to Bach, and G-Star was a performing arts school. So he had a lot of friends, and I had no background in theater or production, anything, so I didn't have many friends. And he opened up to me very quickly, and me, Patrick, and Dillon became the best of friends in a really quick amount of time. And I made so many special memories with them throughout. It's hard to believe that's 10 years ago. But through those 10 years, I made so many lifelong memories that I'll never forget. And I think about those guys every single day. And stage fright. I'm freezing up here, I'm sorry. But I'm trying my best.
Nobody ever tell you this. When you look out here, everybody's in their underwear.
Okay. Yeah. And I remember this might, so we would go on all these different adventures, whether it be exploring abandoned areas we shouldn't have been, or to the gymnasium and doing this, that, and the other. We got really close, and this might sound morbid, but I've had family, like grandparents, cousins, and I wasn't as close with them. So when they passed, I didn't show much emotion, but I remember the day Dillon and Patrick had their accident. I broke down in tears, and thank goodness my mom was there to support me. It was a really tough time for me, and a couple years ago, I lost all my memories on my phone, and I went to all these extravagant places, Europe, South America, places like that, and I lost it all. But what bothered me the most was losing my memories with Dillon and Patrick. And there's one more thing I wanted to bring up. Just one more dart, I swear. But yeah, I'm just not a day goes by that they don't cross my mind. I'm just very grateful for the time that I got to spend with them, the memories that we made, and that's about it.
Anybody else want to speak? We can bring a mic around too if it's easier. Come up. You want me to bring the wireless?
Are you gonna go up there?
Okay. This thing's tall.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, there's only one other person that could talk in this, and that's Patrick.
So in 2017, I started working at Altera, and at the time, Dillon was the lab manager, and I became his assistant. So he was the type of person that really taught me everything I needed to know about testing materials, and eventually I learned through him, and he helped me work, where I am today at the job. Every test that he went through in such a distinct way that I try to emulate his patterns anytime I try to teach a new lab assistant. But, throughout the time he works there, we listen to music. Now, I'm not necessarily into the rap music that he would listen to, but to each their own. Like, if he wants to listen to it, hey, it's no problem. But we would make jokes about it, like, how everything in the lab we could basically make a rap song about. There's a test called LBR, that could be a song, or Proctor, or Crushing Cylinders, I don't know. But one day, he's listening to music. Now, I'm accustomed to what he listens to, so I go to use the bathroom. At the time, we both called it my office, and, I get out, and all of a sudden I'm hearing, I'm picking up good vibrations, she's giving me excitation. I look at him like, you listen to the Beach Boys? And he's just like, yeah. And I'm like, I had no idea you listened to the Beach Boys. And it's like, here, I'll be playing. And then he started playing other songs than just what he normally listens to. And I'm like, man, you have such a unique taste palette when it comes to music. And that's the one thing I think we can all agree about Dillon, is that music kind of unified everything about him. Like, that's his thing. I don't know. I just kind of miss listening to the songs that we used to listen into the lab, and such a great time. So.
And Miles made the video, the work video. You know, Miles, I was on a couple movie sets, and usually when I was on the movie set, I didn't interfere. I didn't want to be that adult. Unless somebody was going to get hurt or get naked, I didn't interfere. So we're on this set, and there's, I mean, it's doing all this stuff, and every time I would think, God, you know, you need to turn it, you know, put the mic this way, do that, or everything I would think, he would tell the kids to do, you know. And I'm not going to bring up his story, but when he came to work for me, I was like, okay, this is good, because this guy's got it going on. Super talented, you know, when it comes to, went to G-Star with the boys, and, you know, he really knows his stuff, you know, technically. So anyways, thanks for the video and all that. Is that song ready? Okay. So again, try to listen to the words, and it, you know, this is very emotional. Donnie's very talented. He's got amazing songs. He's made so many very cool movies. I mean, he's done. But this song, you know, it's from the gut, and it's about Dillon. He wrote it, you know, for Dillon. So please, you know, enjoy this.
Shaking up so long, waking up so wide. Well, the golden boy takes one last look at the world he's known that got him hooked, 'cause he has so much love with no despair, until he came to terms with what's out there. And he can't wait to go. He cannot lose hope, and we can't wait too long to finally come home. Shaking up so long, waking up so high. Well, put on your best suit and tie, and let the devil sing its lullaby. And don't you look away, don't close your eyes, don't let your children, let your story die. I can't wait to go, and I cannot lose hope. We can't wait too long to finally come home, and we can't wait too
So that song probably has 16,001 plays, and I was 16,000 of them. But love that song. So we're kind of, you know, we're getting a little. Oh, Charlene, you want to say something? You want the mic? Okay. Yep. Okay. All right, so we have some cake in the back, and when we had his birthday, they did, this is his logo, and they had it on the cake with the edible, thing, whatever. They don't do that anymore, so I asked him, he was just going to do a white cake with green writing, Dillon, Tommy Six. But anyways, it's red with black, and it looks kind of like Halloween or something, but I'm sure it still tastes good. But we have the cake in the back, and if there's anybody that wouldn't mind, cutting it, come on. Do you want them? Oh, do you want me to bring the wireless around? But feel free to, if anybody wants to go get, some cake, we can start that, especially if any kids want to do that.
Can I call Alex real quick?
Yeah,
Because
yep.
he's going to start sound check. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. Should I let her talk, or we're going to?
Do you want to talk long? Okay, Alex? Okay, can I mic you? Okay, hold on. Okay. Hey, you're on, Alex.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi. So it's Alex Shaw here. I'm in California right now at school. I'm about to do a sound check, but I thought I would call in for a second and talk to everybody let's say a little bit about Dillon. So Dillon and I kind of grew up together. He would always come see me perform when Dart would come and help me out. And he was kind of the first person that I can remember who was like an older brother to me, somebody that I looked up to, somebody who inspired me. He really got me into parkour at a young age. And I remember times after some of my shows, we would find anything we could, and like a wall or anything to like run up and try and do some crazy stuff, even though it probably wasn't a smart idea. And I think the thing that I took away from having Dillon in my life was kind of relating it to the whole parkour thing, is the walls always seemed so high to me, but he made it seem so easy. And just looking back on it, I try and say to myself a lot, the walls that we encounter in life, whatever they may be, they're never as high as they seem, especially when you take a step back and look at it. It's really not as tall as it seems. And I try and keep that with me in my life when I encounter challenges and things that I'm afraid of, or, just trying to conquer the fear and just live my life fearlessly. And I think that's what Dillon did, is he literally lived his life so fearlessly and to the fullest, and just had such a love for life that was infectious, and I think about all the time and try to live my life in that same way. And I really, I love him and I miss him, and I love Dart, and I love everybody who, was in Dillon's life and I got to, become close with, and he was like family to me. So I love you, Dillon. I love you, Dart. And everybody who's there today, thank you so much for being there. And I wish I could be there as well, but I thought I would just call in and share that with everybody.
Thanks, Alex. Love you.
Love you, Dart.
I've been warned that it's supposed to be PG-13, so I'll do my best. I don't have a whole lot to say. And, oh my God, everybody's looking at me. That's a lot. If you guys could just, look forward, that'd be cool. No, I meant it. Look forward. Anyway, first of all, I didn't know Dillon for a lot of years, like a lot of people did. I met him at G-Star in high school through a good friend named Taya Fish. She wishes she could be here. If you guys know Taya Fish, she, like I said, she really wishes she could be here. She's in Philadelphia right now. Anyway, I just wanted to get this out there. Dillon and I weren't close for a long, long time. We knew each other for a couple years. We hung out for a long time. I just wanted to put it out there that he taught me a lot. Sorry. Just about being a good person and loving people. Whether or not you knew Dillon for a week or a year or 10 years or 20, he loved you. He was there for you. He was a good person. He was a happy person, and he was there for you. He was there to give you advice and anything you needed. That was Dillon. Whether it was musical, you were in the rap scene, whether it was school at G-Star, I was having a hard time in math. I didn't go to my math class for, I don't know, probably 3 weeks, and Dillon was like, yo, do you need help? I was like, dude, you suck at math, but yeah, help me. And he was like, yo, let's do it. Whether it was giving me mental advice, physical advice, family advice, these are the people I know. What can I introduce you to? How can I help you? Dillon was one of the best people, the happiest people, the most happy-go-lucky, good-to-know people. He was just, if he couldn't physically help you himself, he was there to support you mentally. If he could support you mentally, I'm getting all over the place. Dillon was just one of those freaking people, PG-13 freaking people. I didn't know him as long as probably a lot of you. I only knew him through high school and beyond, but Dillon was one of those people, whatever you needed, he was there. And if he wasn't there, somebody else was in any way that he could help you, whether it was his family, Dart and Justine and Damon, some of the best people I have ever met in my entire life. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that went to G-Star, everybody that knew Dillon. Dillon is what unites us, and that makes us all amazing people. Anybody that was associated with Dillon, I love you all. I just kind of think that makes us all family, whether it was his rap or his lifestyle or his family or his school. If you had anything to do with him, I know he's looking down on us, and he loves all of us, and he wants the best for all of us. And that's all I had to say. That kind of got onto like a little bit of a ramble, but thank you.
So, anybody else want to share anything? Okay. You know, everybody here I love, you know, you're all from different times, you know. One of the people that I was so thankful for with my young sons was their dance instructor. And you were young. She was like a little girl, but she was amazing. Big dance. I do the Nutcracker with her. Oh, okay. But so here we go. Again, one of the most amazing people for me, because I love the way you dealt with my sons.
My heart is pounding. I'm Miss Christie. I knew Dillon. Justine introduced me as his first dance teacher when he was a baby. Same with Damien up there somewhere. I taught your solos and your duets with your brother. Justine and Dart, you guys were such amazing parents. Justine sewed his costumes, made tap shoes out of Converse shoes. Dart has always been amazing with his words, given me such strength. I'm sorry for you guys. I haven't been there for Dillon the last few years, as the girl said she didn't know him more recent, but he was an amazing kid. I just want to say that. I love you guys.
Who else? Oh, man. Wait, let me get out the unicycle and the juggling, and you ready for Detective Feldbaum?
Well, thank you. Yeah, so Dillon, he was just really special. I met him in 6th grade, and I think definitely one of the first couple days of classes, we were already falling out of our chairs laughing, and that didn't really change. About a week before he died, we were doing the same thing, making pierogies in the kitchen, and Dart sleeping, and he literally had to run into his bedroom and stuff his head into the bed so he wouldn't wake you. And I realize things now as I'm getting older about life that Dillon kind of just already like knew, like a long time ago. And I'd hear him say these things, just these insights on life. And every time I realize them now, I'm just like, damn, like he already knew that. And just like a beautiful view on things. And with his music and stuff, like, it really did mean the world to me. He expressed that, and it wasn't just about his music. It was about incorporating as many people as possible, not even necessarily just other musicians, but artists to do the album covers. And it didn't matter like who you were or like what you believed in. Like he like extracted the good that you could contribute, and he just put so many people on to like become like a better version of themselves. And he really like wanted to do it, and it was like clear, and he was so excited. Like he like pulled out this drawing someone made for something, an album cover or something, like laying it over the bed, and he's just like, I just got this in the mail, like, oh, this is so cool. And he was just like he had a presence, and you just wanted to be around that. And yeah, that's it. Can I try my luck again after you? How you going?
Yeah. All right. I'm Savion. I met Dillon also in middle school. I was able to find a family through him. I didn't feel like I really had anybody before I met him and met all of his friends, and just had so much fun. And he really taught me how to not give a fuck. I got my first detention with him. We would always just do parkour at school and jump out the window during lunchtime. And I remember one day he told me, or he had this idea that he was going to run away. And I said, I'm going with you. And the day came that he was running away, and I chickened out. He jumped out the window, left. He was gone. That night, I was so emotional because I thought I was never going to see him again. And the next day, he shows up at school, and he's like, yeah, my dad picked me up off the side of the road. And I was really glad I got to continue seeing him. And later on in his life, near the end, I feel like I could have been there more, and I know that he knows that I was struggling, and he was still there for me when I needed him. And yeah, he always loved me, and I loved him too. And thank you.
So if you guys allow me to, I'm going to give this another try. I had said about 25% of what I wanted to when I was up on stage, and just froze up like a deer in the headlights. So I'll just touch on this briefly. after high school, I ended up in Pennsylvania, and Dillon was doing his own thing down here. And it was a couple years before I moved back down, and very inconvenient timing. That was at the beginning of COVID. I got back down. We're trying to make these plans, and it was always next weekend, because it was either he was working or I was working. And then he passed away before I was able to see him again since leaving for Pennsylvania. And at the time, I was so bothered and broken up about it, and didn't want to get out of bed. But then after a couple weeks, I realized, like, instead of slouching and looking back or dwelling on the past, I have to cherish his life and think back to those memories and time we spent together, and really cherish those times. And he just had such a profound impact on everyone in his life and everyone Dillon connected with, and would open up a whole new energy in the room. And I used to be a lot more introverted and soft-spoken, and Dillon really brought me out of my shell and showed me a lot of great things, and really just made me a better me. And he was always so optimistic and ready to take on any challenge, and was so uplifting. If he could tell you were down, he'd bring you right up with no effort. And if you're ever sad, just think back to all the good times and memories that you've made with him. Rest in peace, Dillon. Drew, rest in peace, Patrick Sarvella. We think about you every day.
And just one last thing, too, I want to mention. The big, beautiful picture out there of Dillon, my sister Daphne made that. And, oh, is she? Oh, okay. Good timing. But I think there's 100,000 glass beads in it. It took probably 6 months to make. That hangs in my dining room wall. Again, it's just one of those other things that somebody did that means the world. We're kind of running out of time. Chris's mom is going to say something real quick. But definitely, guys, if you want any cake, go back there. The cake's, we can start cutting that up, and then we'll probably start breaking everything down. Yeah, if you don't mind. Sorry.
Chris is watching all of this from Los Angeles. I was worried about him doing it on his own, but I want you all to know that Daryl and Andy from the Island Mob are there with him. They came out too. I think Chris is too overcome by all of this to speak. He loved Dillon. I know all of them did. And I think when he would come home from LA, he was really coming home to see Dillon and Dart, and I'm okay with that. Dillon was such a good friend to him. They went to Bach together, and then after G-Star Dreyfus, and Chris would come home after college, once he left for college to see him. I'm going to tell something that Chris will kill me for, but he was terrified of shots and terrified of needles. I would take him to the doctor's office, and he would take off down the street before he would let anyone touch him. But after he lost Dillon, the design that is on Dart's shirt and many of your shirts, he had that put on his arm to remember his best friend. And I just want you to know how much he loved him. And I loved having him at our house with all the kids.
Thanks. And in the slideshow, which may start in a minute, they probably have to break down, though. There's a beautiful picture of Chris's tattoo. It's amazing. Guys, I really appreciate everyone being here. We're probably going to wrap up. You know, Dillon was strong, but he would never hurt anybody. And Dillon was kind and compassionate, even with people that would hurt him. It's kind of the way he was. You know, if Dillon ever treated you badly or harmed you or, you know, hurt you, I just hope you forgive him. Love over everything.
Put the keg on my coffin and think of me every so often. Have a loser's day parade for all my friends. Drink up life like a river till the pizza man delivers. Smile and know I loved you till the end. Well, here's what you do when my time comes to pass. Charlie told me through the reflection in his glass. Don't waste time praying, cause I'm never coming back. Just throw a party in my name. Put the keg on my coffin and think of me every so often. Have a loser's day parade for all my friends. Drink up life like a river till the pizza man delivers. Smile and know I loved you till the end. Well, here's what to write on the stone over my grave. His friends were earned and not a penny saved. Don't waste time crying, cause you two are on your way to meet me at the pawn shop in the sky. Put the keg on my coffin and think of me every so often. Have a loser's day parade for all my friends. Drink up life like a river till the pizza man delivers.